Hi folks, I'm Sean McCormick. Welcome to the channel. It's Photo Friday, so we're going to talk about neutral density filters. Hey folks, I went out during the week to try and shoot some video with loads of B-roll for you to talk about neutral density filters, but it was a disaster. It had been a beautiful morning, it turned into a horrible day. I still went out and shot some shots to show this and did some video, but the audio wouldn't work out, and it was just being shot on my phone anyway. Bring it back here a little bit, and so I'm just going to show some of that stuff as I talk here and just basically do it as B-roll over me talking, even though it was meant to be A-roll, or some of it was meant to be A-roll. So let's get talking about neutral density filters. What are neutral density filters and why do you need them? Well, a neutral density filter is essentially a block of glass or resin that blocks light, but it does it in such a way that it doesn't change the colours of your image. So the neutral part is the not changing your colour, and the density part is changing the amount of light that gets through. They're generally measured in stops, so you'll get 1 stop, 2 stop, 10 stop for example. 10 stop filters were very popular a while ago and they still produce beautiful images. So even though it's no longer a fad, you can still get it to produce some fantastic images with them. So let me actually look at a 10 stop initially. So here I have the one that I currently use. I still have 2 of them floating around, but I don't have them to hand, so just seeing a little fingerprint on this one. I'm going to give it a wipe. That's the great thing about the fact that this comes with a little pouch. So this is a glass filter. It's the Firecrest by Hitech, and it says ND 3.0 on it. Okay, so ND 3.0 means that it's a 10 stop, and an ND 8 would mean that it's a 3 stop. So basically the weird ways of measuring them. So 1 stop would be ND 1, 2 stop is ND 2, ND 3, and so on. But or ND8, sorry, is 3. So it's ND2 is a 1 stop, ND4 is a 2 stop, and ND8 is a 3 stop. They're also known as 0.3, 0.9, etc. So 0.3 would be a 1 stop, 0.9 would be a 3 stop. Right, so that's a slot filter, so it fits into one of the slot filters that comes with rings. So the idea is that you buy one filter and then you just use cheap rings to connect it to whichever filter thread that you need for your lens. There's also, just going to grab this here now, they also come as screw-in filters. So here is a 3 stop screw-in filter, and I use this one to go on my portrait lens so that I can block the light when I'm not using high-speed sync, for example. Or sometimes you can mix with high-speed sync, whereas you can only get down to f4 sometimes with it. This allows you just to go down that little bit further as well. So that is the screw-on version. Okay, and so they come in set stops generally. So you would have, like I say, you have a 1 stop, a 2 stop, etc. Now there is another type of filter here, and I was sent this one for free in the hope that I would include it in the video, and I've included it in the video because I actually really liked it. And this is K&F. They sent me the EOS adapter for Fuji before that I've talked about, and so they sent me this, and it's really well manufactured, and it's quite stiff. So you can actually see it working here as I twist. And I'm just going to show you how it works with a bit of video that I shot as well. So you can see that as I twist the scene gets darker. So this means I have to boost up the exposure to compensate, or change my shutter speed. So I'm opening up the shutter so that I can let more light in to compensate for the fact that this filter has darkened it down. Now the way these work is they are basically 2 polarizers across each other, and as you twist them they stop depolarizing, and so eventually what happens is you let no light through. Now at the point of starting to let no light through, what happens is you get this kind of X in the filter, and so it doesn't look really good at that point, but below that it's perfectly usable. Now the thing about neutral density filters is that the neutral part, like I say, isn't always true. Like the Lee Big Stopper can be very blue. My Pro ND was quite blue. The original 10x filter I had was very pink because it was designed for film, which didn't have infrared issues. This one here is really cheap. It's about 20 quid, and it's actually quite neutral. So here's some images that I shot with it the other day when I was out getting soaked and having a running nose on video, which I'm not showing you. So this is a 30-second exposure that I got during the day. Now a normal exposure would have been closer to less than a second, even at my aperture that I was at, which is f16. So this is 30 seconds, but then I backed off the filter and got this one at 1.3 seconds. So if I press I, will I bring up my info? My info doesn't want to come up for some reason. Ah, there we go. And so we can see here it's 1.3 seconds. And then I shot another one where I changed and I shot it at 2 seconds just to show the effect on the water. And then again I went forward and I did something at 15 seconds. So we can see here now the wind is definitely affecting this particular shot. It was very, very windy, so it's actually been blowing the tripod. I didn't have a weight on it. It was just a very light tripod I was using. And there is a spot here in this. This is great for getting this look. So let me go back to the 30-second exposure one, and you can see the difference very quickly between those two, what it does to the image. So it gives kind of a smooth, silky look to the image, and I love them for that. So that's why I really like them. Now the handy thing about this particular filter, the variable ND filter, is the fact that I can change it. And it is reasonably neutral. Now you may say this doesn't look neutral. Well, that's because I actually color tone these. These are processed. So if I go D for develop, or I'm already in develop, and I go back to, it says as shot, but I have a load of other stuff on. So let me just click reset here. And you can see the processing that I've done. So this is the as shot on auto white balance. So it's actually quite neutral. There's almost no colour in it whatsoever, in fact, just because of the day that was in it. And it does lend itself to black and white. But it's very, very neutral, and surprisingly neutral for the fact that this is actually a cheap filter. Cheap filters tend to not be so good. But this one's actually very, very, very usable. So I do recommend it for that reason. Now, like I say, they sent it to me. I didn't pay for it. I'm not telling you that this is great because they sent it to me for free. I actually genuinely did like it. If I thought it was terrible, I would say it was terrible. And like I'm saying, the Pro ND from Hi-Tech is not great. The Firecrest is great, but the Pro ND with the blue, just not so good. Alright, so very, very pleased with that. Link to it below as well. So that is a quick chat about neutral density filters. But before I go, there is one thing I want to talk about in regards to these filters, and that is if you are using the screw thread filters, or even if you're using rings and stuff like that, what can be very handy is step-up rings. Okay, so a step-up ring allows me to take this, screw it on, and that means that I can use it on a different size thread for a lens. So this is a 52, so it would do the 35mm or the 18mm on Fuji, for example. So that way you just buy the biggest one that you need for the largest filter thread lens you have, and then you buy these cheap step-up rings to go with them. So you're not buying a whole selection of these. So you just have the one filter and then step-up rings to do it. So that makes it very, very, very handy. But you can do the same thing, you know, with rings as well. If you've got a 77mm ring for some of the slot, for the slot filters, and then you can just use these step-up rings for those as well. It's just more convenient because sometimes they don't actually make the ring in the right size. So hopefully you liked that video, folks. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified of new videos coming online. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you in the next one.